The 8 Craziest Things Nurses Have Ever Seen. This article was written by Maggie Punixa and provided by our partners at Prevention. There's no doubt that when you're working in the medical field, you see a lot of strange things. After all, dealing intimately with people means dealing with human bodies and, yes, bodily functions. And probably no one knows this better than nurses. Their job isn't just making sure patients are comfortable and healthy. They're also a medical expert, waiter, alarm clock, caretaker, cleaning person, dietitian, unofficial therapist, and counselor, all rolled into one, which can lead to some interesting situations. We asked nurses around the country to share their craziest tales of patient care. Want to pick up some healthier habits? Sign up to get healthy living tips, weight loss inspiration, slimming recipes, and more delivered straight to your inbox. 1. Secret fast food stash. I was checking my patient's blood sugar, and it was extremely high. The doctors ordered her a low-carb, no-sugar diet, and I had seen what she had eaten throughout the day, none of which should have hiked up her levels. Every day, no matter how much we controlled her diet and insulin, her sugar would shoot up. The doctors and I could not figure it out. One day I was giving her a bed bath, and I lifted off her gown. Hidden deep in the crevices between her thighs and her stomach was fried rice and bits of chicken wings. We found out that her son had been visiting and sneaking in fast food. Rebecca Lee, RN, New York City 2. Late night adventure. I was working as a staff nurse on a cardiac telemetry floor. It was late, and we were monitoring a man's heart for the cause of his arrhythmia, abnormal heartbeat. His alarms went off at 10:30 p.m. while a visitor was in his room. Upon entering the room to check on him, I immediately saw the cause and charted, patient engaged in intimate behavior. I never heard the end of it from our cardiologists. Jenny E. Johnson, RN, Coeur d'Alene, Idaho 3. Unusual bonding experience. I'm a nurse at a dermatology practice and have a patient who gets cosmetic work done. Normally this procedure could be done in one visit, but she likes to break up her treatment into several visits and bring her boyfriend with her. She said it's time they could spend together without getting caught by her husband. Joanne Shellock, licensed practical nurse, New York City 4. A glutton for punishment. I was working with a Middle Eastern gentleman when I was in nursing school. He was a post-surgical patient who had spinal surgery due to a car accident. After talking to him for a bit, he shared with me that his family had quite a bit of money. He owned several horses, race cars, and even baby cheetahs. I was a little skeptical, but he showed me some videos of the cheetahs playing with his dog and some pictures of his horses. He went on to tell me how he rode horses and was an amateur race car driver. He actually previously injured his back falling off a horse and had to get surgery for it. This was his second back surgery, after totaling his car in the race. To my surprise, he said he was looking forward to racing again as soon as he recovered. Luke L., RN, Greensboro, North Carolina. Here are the 5 best moves to prevent and ease back pain. 5. A real flirt. I was giving an elderly patient a bed bath. He was almost 90 years old, not completely oriented, and could not move well on his own. I had turned him over onto his side so I could wash his backside. He then said, "Best bet you've seen all day, eh? Rebecca, need help flirting? Your 5 biggest flirting hang-ups solved." 6. Will travel for booze. I took care of a patient who had an active social life but had to be hospitalized and hooked up to an IV with an IV pole for long periods of time. One day while taking care of him, I came into his room to give him some medication and found his bed empty. Thinking he took a walk, I checked back later. When it was long past the time he needed his medication, I began asking other hospital staff to help me locate him, perhaps in the cafeteria or lobby of the hospital. An elderly man who was waiting for a loved one in the lobby told us that he had seen a patient with similar description load his IV pole into the back of a truck and climb in and take off. Using some knowledge of all of the stories this patient told us, our security guards found him sitting with his buddy at a local bar enjoying a cocktail while tethered to his IV pole. He was assisted back to the hospital, and I tucked him back in bed while he smiled about his outing. Mary Meyer, RN, Minneapolis 7. Missing the mark. When I was teaching freshman nurses, one of the students was very nervous to give her first live injection even though she had practiced and was cleared in the lab. I was at her side to guide her as she started to dart her needle toward the patient's hip, but she hesitated and said, "I can't." I told her she could. Round 2, she froze again. On the third round, as she started the motion, I said quietly, "Do it." She did. Then we heard a low hiss. She totally missed the patient and had injected the patient's therapeutic air mattress. Benjamin Evans, RN, New Jersey State Nurses Association President-elect 8. Running wild. I had a 6-foot, 300-pound female patient. She had to be closely watched because she would run away from you without any notice. One time, she stripped off all of her clothes and took off running in the hallway. I was documenting at the nurses' station, when all of a sudden, I see my patient completely naked, sprinting around the entire unit, with 2 people frantically chasing after her. It took a good 10 minutes and 3 people to finally stop her. Rebecca,